शुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सागन रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सागन ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासुदेव गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे Hare Krishna. So welcome back. We are looking at a theme based on Gita as well as Bhagavatam. So I've taken a Bhagavatam verse today. So this is Canto 2, Chapter 10, Text 45. Nasya karmani janmado parasyanu vidhiyate kartritva pratishedhartam maya ropitam hitat. It's a very interesting translation. Please have a look at this. It says, there is no direct engineering by the Lord for the creation and destruction of this material world. What is described in the Vedas about his direct interference is simply to counteract the idea that material nature is the creator. It's really a verse worth pondering. The way Shukadeva Goswami speaks this to Parikshit Maharaj, he's making it very direct that the Lord has no direct role in the creation of this world, he's saying. And then he's also saying that then why the Vedas talk about it? It is because they wish to let us know that material nature is not the creator. That means there is someone beyond this. Only for that purpose it is making this point. So like that, this verse is saying. Okay, so the theme, that I thought we will discuss today is about how the idea of God in our Sanatana Dharma is so different from the Western Abrahamic faiths. You see, in all the Abrahamic faiths, whether it is Judaism, Christianity, or Islam, in their systems, God is very directly involved in everything in the world. So, for example, they will say that God created this world in 6 days, and Sunday he rested or whatever. In every aspect, God is very directly involved. Even if you see, if you go back to the Old Testament, which is the text for the Jews, Judaism, there if you see, God is someone who is actually very much involved in the fights. He is actually considered the God of Israel. He has come for those people, the Israelites. He has come for them. And he has come to fight against whoever are their enemies or whatever. So God is very much defined by a place and those people, and he comes there specifically, for those who have faith in him and, who are his people. So that's how that whole description is. Now, if you see our, if you wish to contrast that with Sanatana Dharma in general, in our system, we'll never say like that. That even if Krishna comes in Mathura, Ram comes in Ayodhya, right? We will of course call Ram as Ayodhya Pati, or the Lord of Ayodhya, Krishna as Mathura Pati or Dwarkanath or so on. But still, it's not that he comes for some specific people. It is never like that. There is never there's no one who are chosen people or something. It is very, very clear. That's why many times we give the example of Krishna when Ghatotkacha dies, how Krishna dances in the battlefield. And Bhima and Arjuna are asking, Are Krishna, this is our man who has died. Krishna says, what you are speaking, our man is bad. He is against cows, brahmanas and dharma, and I would have killed him. Even if he wouldn't have been killed by Karna, then I would have had to kill him. Like that he says. Okay, so though the Pandavas were very dear to him, it is very clear that even if someone among the Pandava side also, though he is son of Bhima, is not in alignment with Dharma, Krishna is going to punish him. Krishna is not going to think that, oh, that means Krishna is, there is nothing like chosen people or, that concept, it doesn't exist here. Krishna, it is very, very clear. Krishna comes actually to this world to set right dharma. When adharma becomes too much, he will come at the cosmic level, he will ensure that the balance is kind of proper. Again, if you see, Krishna, whenever he comes to the world, he doesn't even eliminate all the asuras. So I'll just, for example, I'll just take this verse from the Bhagavatam. So this is from Bhagavatam 8th Canto. See, in this is the story during the Samudra Manthan. So in the Samudra Manthan, we all know that all the devatas, they get the nectar and the asuras get cheated by Mohini Murti. And then what happens is, because the devatas have drank nectar, they become very powerful. And they start killing all the demons left, right, center. Look at this verse. It says here, Vayu, Agni, Varuna, and other devatas, they began to kill all the demons just as lion kills deer in a forest. That means wholesale they were, killing. And then see what happens. O king, when Lord Brahma saw the imminent total annihilation of the demons, he sent a message to Narada, who went before the devatas and made them stop fighting. So, when the higher powers, they saw that, all the asuras are going to be killed right now, they said, no, come on, we have to stop this. This is too much. And Narada comes and says, no, please stop fighting. And they stop the fight. See, what you understand in the story is the general psyche in Sanatana Dharma, that there is nothing like trying to annihilate the other side completely. It is just about ensuring that the right balance is there. So whether it is Sattvagun, Rajogun, Tamogun, whether it is the Daiva force, the Asura force, all these forces exist in this world in the right balance. And if one becomes a little too much, especially if the tamasic thing gets a little, they become too strong, then there is an avatara that comes and set things right. And then they just go away. They leave the place and they go away. Right? They don't even completely destroy that, because all these modes, all these forces have some role in the entire universal, cosmic system. So this is how our scriptures present Avatara Tattva. And that's why we see here in this verse also, right? There is no direct engineering. And I think we have discussed this once before, but that's why Sanatana Dharma ideas are very much compatible with science as well, right? Because if you remember, we have discussed this. I'll just put that presentation once again. Yeah, this one, once again. Yeah, this one. I have shown this once long back, but I'm just showing that here nevertheless once again. Right, so this was a long back an article on Dandavats, where what they had done was they had compared the Srimad Bhagavatam with the Big Bang Theory, saying how almost everything that is said in the Big Bang is being said in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the same fashion only. Right? Like sky is created first. Big Bang says first space was created, then air. Big Bang talks about gas clouds. Then there is fire. Big Bang talks about light and heat. Then there is water. Big Bang also talks about that. Then finally earth, which is soil or earth. Right? So basically, if you see that order, right, it's the same thing. So if you see here again, this one also. If you see singularity and pradhana, right? The pradhana description in the Bhagavatam or in the Vedanta, what it talks about, almost the same thing is there in the physics as well. So what I'm trying to say is Sanatana Dharma is never anti-science, right? See, what happens is at only one point there is a difference. And what is that point? The cause. The Big Bang will say that the cause is unknown, whereas Bhagavatam will say that time is injected by the glance of Mahavishnu. The point is, both these causes which are given, you may say, are as it just requires faith, right? So whether you accept it as unknown or whether you accept it as Mahavishnu, ultimately it is about faith only, because there's no proof for either in a very mundane sense in the terms of pratyaksha pramana. But otherwise, the order is the same, right? So this point is important because what it tries to showcase here is that so coming back to here, so that means the Lord is not directly getting into the creation, right? So the material nature is independently empowered to do things, and because it is empowered, it is functioning under certain laws, and that laws we call as science in this world. So actually, if you see Sanatana Dharma, that is why it is never anti-science. But if you see the Western world, it was very much their scriptures and science never went together. In fact, science in the Western world in the 15th century came as an opposition to the church. But then what happened is the church they appropriated it, which was which is a very common strategy in the Western religions that when something comes up in their system, they just appropriate that. Appropriate as in they take it as their own only, and then they go ahead saying that okay, now it's all one thing like that, right? But if you see Sanatana Dharma, it is very much in line with physics, and you can go along with science in that particular fashion. We need not consider ourselves enemies of it, right? Unnecessarily, we need not pick quarrels. It is just not there, okay? Because such verses are also there which talk about the Lord's very minimal role in terms of the day-to-day functioning of things. Okay, now how this has now what is the application of that in our lives? Okay, for that I'll tell a story and then we will take this point ahead. It's a very interesting story that I heard. There were two very famous poets in India. One is Kalidas, and the other one is named as Bhavabhuti. In fact, Kalidas is more famous of the two. We have all heard the name of Kalidas. Very few people may know Bhavabhuti as well. But both were contemporaries and both were very, very talented. But what had happened was Kalidas became very, very famous. Now, why did he become famous? Because it is said he learned two principles in life. One is that you never fight or criticize the king. And second thing is that Sringara Rasa sells more. Sringara Rasa means the romantic kind of portrayal. It will sell in the market. So these two things Kalidas knew very well. So whatever he wrote considering these two principles. And because of that, the king in his times was very, very happy with Kalidas. And the king would sponsor Kalidas's writings, Kalidas's dramas, everything was sponsored by the king. So during Kalidas's time itself, he became extremely famous. Okay, just like for example, when Kalidas wrote about Shakuntala, Abhinava Shakuntala, he wrote a story about Shakuntala which is very different from what Vyasadeva wrote. In Vyasadev's Mahabharata, when Shakuntala comes back to the palace of Dushyanta, she actually fires the king because the king refuses to accept her. So he fires the king left and right. But Kalidas had this policy of not wanting to criticize the king, even if the king is in the story, because then that may make people feel that we can criticize the king in the modern times. So he gave a completely different twist to that story only. He didn't present it the same way. Correct? And that also became very, very famous. Kalidas's Shakuntala became very famous. Though it's not in line with Vyasa's Mahabharata, it became very, very famous. So what happened? Bhavabhuti, who was another poet at the same time, he also wrote based on Mahabharata, but he did not become that famous. So it is said that Bhavabhuti, he prayed to Saraswati Devi for 11 days with a lot of fasting and tapasya. And then when Saraswati Devi manifested, he asked her, one who does asatya is becoming more famous, O Devi, he said. His reference was to Kalidas. That Kalidas is doing asatya, that means he is writing stories, concocting in his own way, but he is becoming more famous. But I am writing story in line with Shastra, but I am not becoming famous. So it is said Saraswati Devi asked him, your problem is with success or with truth? Think about it deeply, she said. Huh? So you are trying to be Kalidas, but you are not Kalidas. Okay. In fact, the way Saraswati Devi spoke to him, Bhavabhuti understood that I should not be envious of Kalidas because success in this world is not necessarily always dependent on Satya. It is basically dependent on strategy, which is purchasable. Okay, so that is what Saraswati Devi's lesson to Bhavabhuti was. That, see, success in this world is achieved by someone who is strategic. That is the law of this world. Okay, so you don't have to bring always God in this. So I'm bringing this point again to say, generally one may feel that, Array, if Kalidas has become successful, then maybe it is Krishna's plan to make him successful. And Bhavabhuti is a failure, it means it is Krishna's plan that he will not be successful. Saraswati Devi's lesson to Kalidas was that you don't have to bring God in every aspect of life like that. Where you think that he only has made somebody successful and he has made someone a failure. No. There are various laws in this world which operate, which is basically nyaya or logic. And if you align with that, you become successful. You will gain success. If you don't align with that, you will not get anything. Kalidas had understood how to align with the monarchy. And because he understood that, he became a successful. Bhavabhuti did not. He didn't. He felt, I don't want to compromise on certain things, so I will not, kind of wag my tail to the monarchy so much. Fine. That's the stance that he took. But the repercussion of that was that he was not a very big successful poet at that time. He was kind of course, he's also very famous, but generally not considered as famous as Kalidas. And certainly in those times also, Kalidas was still head and shoulder ahead of Bhavabhuti. Okay. So the point is, Bhavabhuti understood. And then it is said that after this episode, Bhavabhuti wrote about Sita and Ram. And then Bhavabhuti writes in his own writings, he writes that one who was burning in the fire of not getting success wrote about Sita and Ram and found solace and happiness. So, like that, he writes. What this basically story also indicates, again, I'm coming back to the point that you don't have to bring God into every aspect of what happens in this world. Because, so just like creation, even in terms of happiness and distress, also, just like Krishna says in that famous verse in the fifth chapter, nor does the Supreme Lord assume anyone's success, sinful or pious activities. Embodied beings are bewildered because of ignorance which covers their real knowledge. Okay. Which means that the world is operating based on nyaya and based on certain laws. You align with that, you are successful. Just like, for example, Marwadis, Gujaratis, if you see, they will do business very nicely. They will have that correct ethic of Vaishya, how to do business they know. They will be successful. They are aligning with that laws. Okay, someone else may be an intellectual. He may do well as a researcher or something. So there are these laws operating in this world. Laws not only in the sense of physics, which I said earlier, but in terms of psychology as well. And if you align with that, you will get something. And if you don't align with that, you will not get it. So this is logic, this is nyaya. And this is something we have to accept and not think that the Lord is making it actually happen like that. Right? So just like, just to give you another example, suppose sometimes we are suffering in life. We may sometimes say as devotees, we say also that Krishna is giving me the suffering to make me more serious in spiritual life. Now think about this carefully. Is Krishna giving me suffering? Krishna is giving me suffering to make me more serious in spiritual life. Is it a technically correct statement? Certainly not. It's not technically correct, unfortunately, because there's no basis for it. He doesn't do that. That's not Krishna's process. Krishna's process to make you serious in spiritual life is he has given Guru, he has given deities, he has given holy name, all that he has given. He's not a sadist to think that, okay, let me give more suffering to this fellow so that, he'll become more. This is not the general standard process like that. People will be suffering because they have either, not taken care of their health properly, relations or money or something, and they suffer. Correct? The mood may be good. That is agreed. That means, suppose if somebody is suffering and is thinking that I have got this suffering so that we can become more serious in spiritual life. Such a mood in one's individual life is very good. That is accepted. But what we are talking is whether it is a technical reality. Now, if you go back to the Abrahamic people, now, they not only say that God has actually, God actually interferes very strongly in this world, but according to them, everything is given by God only. So that means even suffering is considered a will of God. That's what they say, right? Because they don't accept the theory of karma. So as per them, if suppose somebody is suffering, it is a will of God. The question is, why should God will that you should suffer? It is actually meaningless. It is against nyaya or logic. But then that's what they say, right? That's what they say. And any kind of punishment also is considered, any kind of reward is also considered his thing only. So like that they see it. So they see it technically. So please remember, we may see it as a mood. There is a difference between seeing something as a mood and seeing something technically. Correct? Like for example, we will also say Krishna willing, I will go to the temple tomorrow. Or Krishna willing, I will buy this. Or Krishna willing, I will do something. These people will also say Inshallah or whatever, God willing. But there is a big difference in the way we are saying it and the way they are saying it. Like we are saying it more from an intellectual perspective, understanding that yes, ultimately this whole Prakriti is under Krishna. And in terms of gratitude, we are saying that. We are not saying that very literally, as in as if thinking that anything that happens, it is Krishna only directly is interfering in making that happen. These people think it to be factually and literally like that. Okay, but we are making the same statement, Krishna willing, but it is more in terms of a mood because it is all again connected to this statement only. There is no direct engineering by the Lord for the creation and destruction of this world. Please remember, this sentence is not to be seen only in terms of the creation of this world, but also we are seeing it in terms of psychology, in terms of karma, in terms of orientation, in terms of achieving success, everything. Okay, and we can give more examples also. Just like, for example, we see the Battle of Kurukshetra. So, in the Battle of Kurukshetra, what happened at the end of the battle? Only 8 people were alive, it is said. The 5 Pandavas were there Krishna, Satyaki, okay, and on the other side, Kritavarma, Ashwatthama, Kripacharya. Totally 10 people were alive, it is said. Almost everyone was finished. Okay. Now, if you see, even all the Pandavas' children were dead. Everybody died, right? Except these 10 people whom I knew. Everybody was finished. Now, people, if you ask the Abrahamic people, okay, why it did like this, it happened. Then they will say that God only willed that everybody should die like that. Okay, now, if you see from our Sanatana perspective, see, Krishna is showing the reality of the world. What is the reality of the world? When two big powers will come and fight, there is going to be death on both sides. That is unavoidable. Right? It is just not possible that the Pandavas side death will not happen. That will seem so unrealistic. Imagine if Krishna orchestrated the battle of Kurukshetra in a way that nobody in the Pandava side had any injury also, and only people in the Kaurava side died. Actually, when people will hear such a story, they will lose faith in everything. They will feel that Array, there is no use of working in this world only. If God is such a whimsical person, he will decide something and that only has to happen. I have no role only in this world. So Krishna never interferes at that level. Right? He allows the laws of nature to take place. What is the law of nature? When there is a fight, yes. Sometimes he will come in the middle. He protected Parikshit Maharaj. Right? That is a Leela. He did that. But otherwise, by and large, he allows a battle to function the way it functions. This is the beauty of Krishna, right? He doesn't come saying that I'm going to act for the welfare of my people in such a way that the other side is completely finished. No, for Krishna, there is nothing like my side and the other side. Like I was saying earlier, right? The God of the Old Testament, he comes for his chosen people, as if the other people are not his people. So in their definition of God itself, there is us and them like that. But in Sanatan, there is nothing like that, right? Even the Asuras, even they are Krishnas only. And even among them, there can be a very great person like Prahlad is there, Bali is there, so on and so forth. Correct? And so this is very important. And even Krishna, the way he deals with people, if you see as a god, right? Just like we just take one example, and we'll end also the talk soon. When Krishna came across Satrajit in Dwaraka, now see again, this is beautiful. Dwaraka is a city where Ugrasen is the king, but Satrajit also is an independent king. There are many small kings like that in Dwaraka. They are all given their place. And when Satyajit had this Samantaka jewel, Krishna goes and tells him that, hey, look, it's better that you give this to the king. Krishna said that for his own good. Because no common man should have something so precious that everybody in the world will start envying. That is not good for him. King can handle that. But ordinary man cannot handle. So Krishna told Satyajit with a very good intention. So Satyajit said, no, I will not give. Then Krishna did not pursue the matter further. Krishna said, okay, no problem. You are adamant on giving the Samantaka jewel, keep it with you. Correct. Of course, ultimately, Satyajit was killed. Now, again, if you go back to the Abrahamic people with such a story and tell them, they will say Satyajit was killed because he disobeyed Krishna. And because Krishna wanted that he should die. Because Satyajit disobeyed him, so God punished him by killing him. Now, if you see our version in the Bhagavatam, it is not like that. It is not that Krishna. See, what happened in the story was the natural consequence of what will happen in the world. When you have something very precious, there will be so many enemies you will create in this world, and somebody will come and kill him. Like that Shatadharma came and killed Satrajit. This action which is happening is in line with the laws of the world. Again, please remember. So when we say the laws of the world, it's not just the laws of physics. That is so there only. So this is also a law only in this world. That if you have something very wonderful, you will become the envy of the whole world, and somebody will come to kill you. That is why it is said that it has to be given to the king. This was in alignment with the laws of the world. Correct. But Satyajit refused to do that, and Krishna did not force him also. Krishna said, okay, you want the jewel only, you keep it with you. I just gave you a good advice, that's it. See, such a Lord, who cannot fall in love with him, right? So he is, even when he comes to the world, he is teaching us through all these stories how one has to be sensitive to the laws of the world and live in alignment with that. And then one can bring good to oneself. But if one violates those laws, which are all nyaya, very logical and very coherent laws in this world, then one will bring suffering to oneself. And that can even mean death or whatever. Right? So this is how Krishna actually, this is the kind of God that Krishna is, right? So this sentence which you're reading from the Bhagavatam, we have to read it in, we have to read it or we have to see it from so many different perspectives, to have a good understanding of the scene. Correct? Yeah, and the final point also, even emancipation, right? If you see in the Old or in the New Testament also, the appearance of Jesus Christ, it changes the karma of everybody, correct? It's a very illogical thing that his birth changes destiny forever of people. Okay. But here it is nothing like that. Krishna comes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes to this world, right? He will set a system. If you align with that system, you will benefit. Okay. It's not that he will just come and you just have to have faith in him. Ghatotkacha had faith in Krishna. It's not that he didn't have, right? But he was a dharmic person. So he had to be killed only. So here it is very clear. Even Bhishma Drona had a lot of faith in Krishna. Of course, they were great devotees also. But they went against Dharma, they were also brought down. See, Krishna's system is hence not faith centric like that. Correct? It is very logic centric. And because it is logic centric, it is also science centric. The science as in terms of the physical laws. And it is also in terms of the logic of karma, the logic of common sense in this world. Like I was telling about Kalidas and Bhavabhuti, right? Kalidas was successful, Bhavabhuti was not. Simple. Because one aligned with certain laws, one did not. So that's fine. So you have to accept it and move on in life. Okay, so this is the kind of God that is spoken of in Sanatana Dharma. Right? With that, I'll end, and if there are any questions, we'll take. So, summarizing, we just saw from this particular verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which says that there is no direct engineering by the Lord in this world in terms of creation and destruction. Whatever is spoken in the Vedas is simply to counteract the idea that material nature is independent. And this theme is applicable also in the sense of not only in terms of creation of the world in terms of a physical sense, but also in terms of people achieving success in this world, people having failures in this world. It is also applicable in terms of people achieving spiritual emancipation. In terms of everything, it is applicable. Right? There are systems, and Lord comes to set that right balance when He comes to this world. Correct? And we discussed so many stories. We discussed the story of Kalidas and Bhavabhuti. We discussed about Satrajit. All the stories were saying the same thing. That when you align with certain laws of this world, you're going to either benefit or you will suffer. Okay, you need not bring God over there saying that He has willed. And I also said that when we say Krishna willing, it is more in a gratitude centric perspective. It's not in the sense that we are feeling that Krishna is actually willing that someone should be very poor and suffer so much and so on. Right? I also said how when we say statements, we can say that when we say that Krishna has given me this suffering so that I become serious in spiritual life. It's a very good sentiment, but these kind of statements are not literally true in that sense. Right? It's not like a Vedantic statement. No. He doesn't do that. He's not keen on doing it like that. Always. Correct? Yeah. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments? Yes. Damodar Ashtam Prabhu, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, this is a new concept which we heard today, actually. I am trying to relate it with what we heard about Srila Prabhupada's success. Like we have heard Bhakti Charu Maharaj also, he says in, like when he had come once to Pune, he said that when he went to preaching, he got help from so many of his devotees, like who are stalwarts now, and some sannyasis. So he was connecting it with that. They appeared, means to help him, or they were uh, sent by the Lord. And we also hear other side, like Prabhupada says, that our ISKCON will grow through organization intelligence.
Yeah.
But we also hear that he had a lot of faith in holy name, and that is the uh, main reason that he spread. Even we hear it in, if we read the books about Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also, we say that he did that tapasya for some years chanting. Things also we hear.
Yes.
So how?
Yeah, you'll have to even in this case of great devotees for whom if you see when the Bhagavad Gita perspective, right, where Krishna says, I will protect what you have and carry what they like. That is for his pure devotees. He says that, correct? So certainly it is accepted in our Shastra that if someone is a very great soul, Krishna may intervene and give something. But even in those cases, they have to follow the systems of this world. See, that's what you only said it. Prabhupada said this organization and intelligence. In fact, Prabhupada, on many occasions, he also said that growing any movement means you need man, you need money, you need capital. Correct? Without this, nobody can grow anything. And Prabhupada would say, I am a very smart person from Calcutta. I'm a Calcutta boy. So I know how to get these things. Right? And some of Prabhupada's god brothers also said that.
Yes,
So
that's right.
felt that Prabhupada's god brothers were kind of, some of them
Business.
are envious or something. They feel like that. But the fact is that Prabhupada accepted that also, saying that yes, what they are saying is correct. To run any mission, you need intelligence. Okay, you need that. Without that, you cannot run anything. And also, if you see, many of Prabhupada's god brothers like Sridhar Maharaj and many others also are spiritually very, very exalted. There is
Mhm.
no denying that. Nobody will say that they were spiritually any less or anything. Okay. But externally, they may have not achieved that same level of success as Prabhupada achieved.
Mhm.
It's a fact that Prabhupada really knew how to deal with people. Otherwise, you cannot run a movement like that. Right? So you have to give credit to these things as well. You cannot, right? So when we deny that, na Prabhuji, we live in a. There is no lesson that we can take. Okay, let's for a moment take it that yes, certainly we believe that Krishna is a supreme personality, and Krishna is a supreme personality certainly, and he can do something miraculous through his pure devotee, empower them. Even if you take it like that, what is a lesson for you and me in this? For you
Mhm.
and me in this world, the lesson always has to be you have to go back to the foundation only. The foundation is what you align with the laws of this world, you will achieve success. If you don't, you're going to fail. That lesson is very important. If you don't learn that lesson, then what is the gain? Does that make sense?
Yes, bro. Yes. So means in the Kalidas story also, I just want to clarify. Ki what he did was means he presented it in a way that it can be accepted. That's why he was successful. That's what they said.
I said not two things. He understood. It is said about Kalidas that he understood two things. One is never go against the king or never belittle the king. You know, right? So the king will not be happy. Second thing he understood is anything you write, you should have Sringara in it, conjugal love. Like modern days also, na? They have romance in the movie. Otherwise, the movie will not sell. Any movie they show, even Article 370 ka movie, when they show, they will have a very beautiful woman, right, as part of the movie. Right? I mean, anything they show, correct? Na? They show Uri also. They will have an intelligence officer who is, very beautiful, and there is some love and all that also they will show. Otherwise, it will not sell only. Right? So Kalidas understood these things. Now, these things are what? These are the laws of the world. Kalidas understood that, he aligned with it, he became successful. Matter over.
Thank you.
Yeah, Brajendra Kumar, go ahead. Okay.
Haribol, Dandvat Bro. So Prabhuji, regarding Krishna not being directly involved in the creation,
The Bhagavatam
then
says it, it is
yeah,
not.
yes. So if we are to explain what he's involved in and what he's not involved in, then basically he's involved till Mahavishnu only. After that, everything is done by Brahma and the Devatas and all that, and
Even
the
if,
Rishi Munis, right? That's how we can say
one second,
this is
yeah, Brahma and
yeah.
Devatas, it is not that they also get daily involved. See, systems are there. See, Indra is in charge of rain, we say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does it mean that he is only calculating exactly how this? No, there is a system. There is a system, na, that there is evaporation of water, the clouds are formed, right?
Yeah.
System operating, right?
Mm-hmm.
System is kind of set in motion by these devatas. You can look at it like that. They sometimes,
Okay.
like Indra may sometimes come and pour extra rain on Vrindavan if he's angry with them or whatever, like during Govardhan Leela. But normally,
Hmm.
it doesn't do all that. There is a system in place. Now, this God, what we are reading in the second canto, it is not only applicable to the Supreme Personality, it is applicable to the Devatas also. Things are running automated only. It is not that Indra is sitting and scratching his head how much rain to pour on Pune and how much on Bangalore and this and that. Correct.
Hmm. Okay.
That system is operating under laws. That laws, when we understand, we call that as science. Correct.
Hmm.
So it is the system and the divinity behind the system, both are coexisting. Correct, huh?
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, just wanted one more point. Bhagavad Gita says about this five karakas. So in that case, like Ishvara, how do we explain like what the role he does then? Like whatever we are speaking here is laws and all, it comes under Prakriti, right?
Yes, it comes in
Prakru-
other form.
yeah, so Prakriti plays the Jiva, like five things are there, no? So there we say Ishvara also. So what is, how do we see from in today's discussion?
Yeah, of course.
Right.
See, Ishvara is a sanctioner, na, Baba. Upadrashta Anumanta cha, Krishna says in Gita. He is sanctioning that. As in, see, the super soul who is here, he is, see, the by and large, everything is happening by Prakriti only. He is sanctioning, he is allowing that to happen. Correct?
Mhm.
Even he is allowing that to happen is a cause, right? As in, he has permitted things to happen like that. Okay, but you don't look at it from a very active interference perspective. Are you getting it? Like if I jump from somewhere, I'm going to, if I drive carelessly, I will meet with an accident or whatever. Right? He permits it because it's all under the laws as such, right? He will permit that to happen. But we
Mhm.
don't really see from our perspective when we are looking at trying to do things in this world. We will not bring that so much into equation, right? I mean, we understand that yes, he's there. Certain nobody is questioning that he doesn't exist or his role is minimized. Of course, his role is there. And even when we discussed about that in the Gita, also we had said that Ishvara, by and large, is following the laws of karma only, na, for a person, and he awards those things. But still, like Prabhupada gives an example, the judge will give compensation to someone and life sentence to someone. That is all because of the action of those people only, right? The judge is not
Mhm.
accountable. As in, he has set up rules in the world, and if you align with it, you get a reward. If you don't align with it, you get a punishment. Okay, so that he is because it is his system, and he is allowing that reaction to come. He is also considered a player, an important player.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. So when somebody like his destiny becomes that he's successful, that is also a system. And something is working, that he has worked hard maybe in his previous lives, and all these things are like he gets a body, a particular body to be successful, and he has to put efforts, and then he becomes.
Yeah,
So
even I mean, it's not been previous life always. Even in this world, when somebody is following, like we gave the example of Kalidas, right?
mhm.
Aligned with the system, Gujarati guys who are making lots and lots of money, they are aligning with the system. They know how to become rich. So that's it.
Mhm. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Any other question? Last, Rajan, we got something else also?
Yeah, yes, yes. So this particular thing that the Lord is not indirectly involved and all this, I think this is used. This argument is used by Mimamsa, right? For them, it's like you just you just follow the system, then you'll get it, right? That thought process is kind of used by this Mimamsa. So then. Um, one would then think that why I need to go back home, like why I need to connect back to Krishna, right?
Yeah, that is the point. Yeah. In fact, I mean, going back to the Govardhan Leela, that's what I think Krishna speaks na, to Nanda Maharaj. Saying that, Are Baba, we will just take care of things properly, we will reap good results. Why are you bringing Indra into the equation? Correct. Krishna only speaks that Mimamsa theory. Correct. Krishna says that why do you bring God, which is Indra in this case, into the equation? You just take care of Govardhan Hill and you take care of our environment. Everything will be good for us in this world. Why do you unnecessarily bring this fellow into the equation? He says like that. See, so the point is where they are going wrong, where the Mimamsa philosophy goes wrong is their conclusion. Their conclusion is that because God is not directly interfering in things, He is not needed only in our life. See, there you have gone wrong. The conclusion is wrong. The statement may be correct, but the conclusion is wrong. The statement is there in Bhagavatam also, right? That God is not directly involved, but the conclusion is wrong. The conclusion is wrong is because you need uh, God in your life for for your own personal growth in your spiritual life, for that whole connection thing. Right? We are all ultimately connected to the Lord. That philosophy we are not changing at all, right? So that is it. The Atma is a part and parcel of Krishna, and you have to achieve him, na? So for that, you have to ultimately connect with him. Okay. So our purpose to connect with him was not just to get some success in this world. It is to derive the ultimate joy of spiritual life that we want to connect with. So the conclusion of the Mimamsas are wrong, that you don't need God only in your life. Are you getting it?
Okay, yes. I mean, in Bhagavad Gita, where does Krishna says this, that we need to connect to the Supreme? Like, where is the first thing that first, because he in the third chapter he says no, that there is a system. You you please the demigods by doing yagya, and they will provide everything. Now, where does he say this? The Supreme is required. I'm just trying to think.
As earlier, second chapter only says it, right? Tani Sarvani Sayim Yukta Asita Matpara. I think I forgot that second chapter he says, right, that you focus on me in that 2.54 onwards in that section. Correct? Prajna Pratishtita. In that series, he says about it. That is one place he says. And obviously, ninth chapter also he says that third chapter, 3.9, work done as sacrifice to Vishnu, otherwise it binds you in this world. So Krishna obviously brings himself. In terms of our personal gratitude and connection, we need him, right? So how can we deny that aspect? Yeah.
Okay, okay, bro. Thank you.
Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai.